Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In today's video we will discuss CV writing tips and do's and don'ts of CV writing. The way you present your CV can have an overwhelming influence over whether your CV is read and you are called for the interview. You could be the most qualified candidate by far but fail to get the job because your CV doesn't meet the expectations of the hiring manager. Equally, you could beat better qualified candidates to the punch because you produce a sparkling CV. This is why good CV writing is so important. If you can create a well-written, professional-looking CV that is tailored to the job you are applying for, your chances of landing an interview will increase. So let's see the tips of CV writing one by one. First, we will discuss the do's. Here comes the first point. Tailor your CV to the job. Hiring managers are typically very experienced and can spot a generic CV in a heartbeat, even though they skim applications. Rather than trying to shoehorn in all your skills and achievements, focus on a selected skills and experience perfectly match the role you are applying for. This allows you to expand on those attributes and show how you will be a good addition to the team. So here comes the second tip. Keep your CV to 2 pages. There are very few exceptions to this rule. Perhaps if you are an executive with 30 years experience, you can go to 3 pages, but it should be 2 for everyone else. There are a few different types of CV format, but they all follow a formula. It should be relatively easy to stick to 2 pages. The third tip for a good CV writing is choose the right CV type. We all have different work experiences and backgrounds, so the traditional chronological CV is not for everyone. There are actually 3 commonly used CV types: chronological CV, functional CV, and combination CV. Chronological CV. This is by far the most widely used format and outlines your work experience and education. It is the best option if you plan to stay in the same industry and have no gaps in your work history. Functional CV, also known as skills-based. This CV puts the spotlight on your achievements and skills rather than on experience and education. It is a good option if you have a gap in your work history, are planning to change careers, or are just starting out in the workplace. Combination CV. This format is a mixture of both a functional and a chronological CV. It uses both work history and skills to capture the employer's attention. On number 4 we have follow the correct CV format. While writing a CV, follow the correct format, that is, for personal details, include your name, address, and contact details. Then comes personal statement. A well-written personal statement will help you stand out from the crowd. For education, include details of your degree, relevant trainings, and professional accreditation. For work history, list your employment history in chronological order. Include dates, job title, duties, and responsibilities. For skills, list any relevant skills you haven't mentioned so far. Then comes achievements and hobbies. However, this CV structure is not necessarily set in stone. You need to maximize the impact of your application, which may mean changing the layout. For instance, you might wish to highlight your experience, which means placing work history above education. On number 5 we have choose the right font. Times New Roman is one of the most commonly used fonts, but you may find that Cambria or Calibri are better options for digital applications. The ideal font size is 11. Remember, the hiring manager will be scanning your CV, so it needs to be nice and easy to read. Next we have keep your CV neat and tidy. As well as getting someone to proofread your CV to check for spelling and grammatical errors. ensure there is a plenty of white space included. If a hiring manager sees a squashed up CV, he won't even read it. Each section should be clearly outlined, and it is also a good idea to use high quality white or cream paper if sending a CV by mail. Next tip we have for writing a good CV is support your claims with specifics. Merely saying that you helped reduce overheads does nothing for your chances of getting an interview. Employers want specifics to include data to support your claims. A good example would be, I helped reduce the company's annual overheads from $20,000 a year to $14,000 within 12 months of taking up the role. Next tip we have is include power words. Add words such as achieved, supervised, launched, and coordinated when describing your work achievements. On number 9 we have add details of professional qualifications. If you completed a course and received a qualification relevant to the job opening, be sure to include it. This added bit of expertise could be the difference between getting an interview and being left disappointed. However, you shouldn't include detail of minor courses which have no bearing on the job. The last tip for do's of CV writing is include a personal statement. A significant number of people neglect to include this at the start of their CV, which is a big mistake. So these are the do's for writing a good CV. Here is the turn to discuss don't. The first in line is don't tell a lie. Including even so-called white lies is a huge error. Hiring managers are more diligent than ever before when performing background checks. If you are deemed to be a suitable candidate, a thorough check is likely and your deception will probably be uncovered. Even if you get the job, there is a strong possibility that the lie will eventually come back to haunt you. Worst of all, it is unlikely that the lie is the reason you got the interview or the job in the first place. So, the next step is don't include irrelevant personal information. You don't need to include your nationality, and you definitely don't need to mention your age. Although employers aren't legally allowed to dismiss your application based solely on how old you are, you will never know if that's the reason they rejected you. Other needless data include ethnicity, sexual orientation, health status, or marital status. Finally, never include a photo with your CV unless you are applying for a modeling contract. The third in the line of don'ts is don't forget to include a cover letter. You should attach a cover letter to your CV whether it is specified or not. It is the perfect way to reinforce your application as it allows you to expand on some of the things mentioned in your CV. However, it should not merely be a CV in paragraph form. Here comes the next step. Don't include unnecessary references. There is no need to include references or even say references available on request unless the job opening specifies it. You only have a limited amount of space to deal with, so why waste it on things you don't even need? The fifth tip in the line of don'ts is don't handwrite your CV. This should really go without saying. It makes your application look old-fashioned and outdated. Plus, the hiring manager may not be able to read your handwriting. The next tip is don't add fluff. Worried that your CV won't even reach 2 pages? First of all, you should be able to expand on your relevant skills, education, and experience, and when this is achieved, you will probably be close to the limit. If not, don't include fluff such as long list of schools you attended or hobbies you enjoy. If it doesn't help you get the job, leave it out. The next tip is don't explain gaps in work history. First of all, there won't be enough space. In fact, you shouldn't even try to explain work history gaps in your cover letter. The time and place for such explanations is during the interview. next tip is don't add negative information. This means no mention of divorces, failed exams, driving licenses points, and failed business startup attempts. Additionally, don't complain about your previous employer or even give reasons why you left. You will be up against stiff competition for the role. Don't give the hiring manager any reason to discard your application. On number 9 we have don't include jargon unless necessary. Adding technical terms and acronyms to a CV is seldom a good idea. While it can show off your expertise, you have to remember that hiring manager is probably not an expert in the field and will have no clue what you are talking about. On number 10 we have don't mention money. Once again, all mentions of salaries and benefits can wait until the interview stage, and only when the recruiter asks you the question. So here you have it, do's and don'ts of writing a good CV. If you like the video, please subscribe. Until the next video, take care of yourself.